Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for telling my adopted sister to go back to her true family? Throwaway because my parents use Reddit and know my Reddit account. I know how the title sounds, but if you're not willing to read the full post before commenting, then don't comment at all. Your perspective about this situation might change. Being the only child in a family was awesome. I gotta have my own room, friends, iPad, etc., which am now obligated to share with my so-called sister. Yes, even friends. They adopted her 1 year ago for a reason I, till now, fail to understand, but I strongly believe it's because I was not good enough for them. I'm really hurt because they never, ever asked me if I wanted another sibling. I just had to accept the fact that I suddenly have a younger sister and should now share everything I have with her and treat her as part of the family. How am I supposed to do that? I can't just start feeling close to her. And the fact that I am forced to involve her in all my plans infuriates me and makes me hate her even more. Today, my friends and I decided to challenge ourselves to stay awake all day by doing many sort of things that will keep us from getting bored. Obviously, since we share the same room, my sister heard this and told me she would like to join the activity. I was honestly hoping I could finally do something without her, but of course she had to ruin it. I told her no, and she said she's going to tell my parents about it. I then got mad and told her to get the fuck out of my house and go back to her biological family. Excuse my language. Her voice then changed and she told me she doesn't know where they are, but I told her to shut the fuck up. Again, excuse my language. And not get emotional with me because I really had it with her. She left the room and I started crying because of how stressed she makes me. But realized I should wipe my tears fast because my parents can't see me like this. Otherwise, they will believe my adopted sister's words and I'll get punished for it. She obviously told them, but I denied what I said. I normally don't lie, so they believe my words and are now talking with her. Obviously without being harsh, and will still not punish her because God forbid they treat my adopted sister wrongly. Wait, you're mad that they're not going to punish her over your lies? Jesus Christ. Am I the asshole for the way I reacted? Also, I'm not sure if I get to have this opinion, but I would like for Automod not to copy my post in case I edit or delete. Thank you. Final edit before leaving. Wow, I come back after 7 hours and this happened. Okay guys, I got it. I'm an asshole. No need for more you're the asshole comments or facepalm/poop awards to let me know what I did was wrong. Also, regarding the auto mod, the mods responded and told me they will not remove it, so calm down. I won't delete the post, so you no longer need to upvote auto mod. This is embarrassing. Also, regarding the personal messages, I now reached 500 and might not be reading them. If you actually wrote something nice, then I'm sorry, I didn't get a respond. So, it is my opinion that 3 people are the asshole in this one. The parents and OP. The adopted sister is just in a shit situation, and honestly is just trying to find her ground and wants to be part of a family and part of something that's, new. These are things that she wasn't privileged enough to have while growing up in what I can only assume to be the foster system. OP grew up the center of attention and is not used to having to share the spotlight or limelight with anyone else. Now, maybe a month or so ago, I don't fully remember because time is kind of a fucking illusion for me, we had a post involving someone snapping at their adopted sibling and some of the comments that they had made. And this was one that I actually brought into a live stream and we had kind of an open forum discussion on, and one of the things that we were able to commonly come to a consensus on was that no matter what, whether or not OP was justified or the sister was in the wrong, the parents fucked up. And this is another situation like that where I think the parents definitely did not do their due diligence here. They should have spoken with their daughter about what to expect. They should have opened that line of communication and let them know what would be happening. They should have spent more time trying to comfort and console their daughter so she knew what was going to be happening. Because in the end, spoiled brat or not, her entire life pretty much changed with no input from her, and she had to now deal with an entirely new set of rules and things to adjust to and abide by. So yeah, being what I can only assume to be a teenager and not having the emotional maturity to approach that, she's gonna hit a boiling point and do some pretty stupid and selfish and entitled shit. She's still an unadjusted playground bully, for sure, and is 100% the asshole, but so are the parents. The way they've approached the share living spaces, trying to force them to share friends and all of that, is just going to be a recipe for disaster. I can tell the parents are definitely trying to properly acclimate the adopted daughter into the new environment, but they also needed to make sure that their daughter would be alright, and understand that their only child who's used to having the world is probably going to pull shit like this, which is just despicable. And honestly, reading that comment of her being upset with the fact that her parents weren't going to punish the adopted sister because she lied and misconstrued how the events actually transpired, yeah, that pissed me off quite a bit. And to circle back to one of OP's opening comments, my perspective on this situation certainly did not fucking change. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for offering to help my wife with the dishes? My wife, 26 female, and I, 26 male, both work 4 days a week. I work 12-hour shifts and she works 8-hour shifts. She would work more, but our daughter, 1 female, needs to be picked up from daycare. I leave for work before they wake up, and some days get home after our daughter has gone to bed. This week, our daughter's daycare provider was sick, so my wife took the week off work to care for her. I worked an extra day to make up for her lost income, so it all worked out fine, or so I thought. She seemed stressed still, so I asked her what was wrong. She broke down, saying that she's struggling with balancing work, caring for our daughter throughout the week, and keeping our house clean/cooking, etc. I responded calmly by saying that I can't miss work or reduce hours. We simply cannot afford it. She responded by saying she knows that, but it is overwhelming for her, and the house chores are piling up. I told her 90% of the problems with messiness could have been solved if she picked up after herself. If she just... Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? If she just put the used butter knives in the sink after she was done and rinsed the bottles/cookware, etc., I will happily do the dishes when I get home from work. Hell, I'll even put them away after. But I do not want to play scavenger hunt and look around the house for things to wash. She did not respond to me after I said that, other than a quiet, okay, before going to console our daughter who woke up early from her nap. She still seemed upset with me still, so I vented to my coworker about what happened. He said I was being an asshole because I didn't even listen to what she wanted. I feel like I was perfectly reasonable. Am I the asshole? Hey, I'm really overwhelmed right now with everything that's on my plate. Could I get some help? Well, maybe if you just, picked up after yourself, because like 90% of your problems are caused by that, this would be a little easier. I'm not going on a scavenger hunt for you, dude. Dude. You could have just opened that up with instead of, what can I do to help mitigate the stress on your shoulders? And then if she brought up dishes, you could have just said, if you can get all of the dishes in the sink for me, I will make sure everything is cleaned and washed when I get home. Just simple ways like that of approaching it that way instead of just being, 90% of your problems are caused by your messiness. Maybe you should work on that. Like, yeah, dude, you are being an asshole here. There were plenty of ways to approach this where it would have been productive for both of you and would have probably led to your wife having less on your shoulders and making you seem like a rock star husband, but instead you probably went for one of the worst ways to approach this. It's kind of impressive, honestly. I calmly explained to her that maybe she should just fucking pick up after herself. Reddit, am I the asshole? Yes. Cross-posted from r/vegan. I've quietly stopped carrying in non-vegan groceries. Wife, not happy. My wife and I split the household chores. One of the things she's responsible for is grocery shopping. If I'm around when she comes home, I'll help unload the car and bring the groceries into the house. I've been vegan for a few years now. Somewhere along the way, I grew up uncomfortable handling meat/dairy/eggs, so when I'm unloading the car, I grab the vegan stuff. Produce, oatmeal, beans, lentils, etc. We each make the same amount of trips carrying in food. Well, she has finally noticed what I'm doing and is slightly annoyed by it. Over the past week, she's told me, I talked to my friends and they all say you're being ridiculous. I told my coworkers about it and they agree with me. I talked with your mom and she thinks you're being silly. Honestly, I really don't give a fuck what anyone thinks, but most recently, she said she didn't even think my Reddit vegan friends would agree with me, which got me curious, but still unmoving in my resolve. So, Reddit vegan friends, is that true? Do I have a duty to transport her animal foods? So you don't give a fuck what your wife thinks, huh? Is that where we're standing, bud? You just don't give a fuck what your wife thinks or how she feels? Is that where we're going with this? And your Reddit vegan friends' opinions of you are more important than your wife? Also, it's kinda sad that your wife just name drops the fact that your main source of dialogue with other people is your Reddit vegan friends. And by the way, all of his vegan friends are all agreeing with the fact that this is a communication issue and he's being ridiculous. And if he's unwilling to carry in groceries that are packaged and sealed but willing to kiss a meat eater, he needs to reevaluate a lot of his priorities. And the fact that he's not even touching them either, he's carrying them in with bags. So yeah, his wife was right. Not even his vegan friends were in agreement with him. And some of them are even wondering if the entire vegan subreddit is just some kind of psyop to make vegans look bad because of ridiculous stuff like this. Even his vegan friends are in the position of, dude, this isn't a big deal. Just communicate with your wife if, like, this is such a huge thing for you. Because he's not. OP is just being weird about it to the point where it took his wife noticing and then talking to her friends and coworkers and his mom about how weird he's being. Like, dude, just talk to your wife. Cross posted from r/relationships. Am I the asshole for hiding on a hike? I, female 27, and my boyfriend, male 25, went on a hike yesterday. For some background, I'm not in the best shape while my boyfriend is pretty fit, so I tend to lag behind on our hikes. I'm currently on my period and was experiencing bad cramps yesterday, so I was going especially slow. Anyway, we were about halfway up the hike when I started suggesting he go on without me because I couldn't keep up with him. I'm feeling pretty hormonal/upset and feel like he's leaving me behind, and I can tell he's eager to go faster and my slow pace is boring him. He didn't say this out loud. I could just tell by his body language. By the time we're 3/4 of the way done, I say I'm really tired and I can't finish it. He asks if I wanted to wait there while he went up to the summit and came back down, and I said no, I'm going to start walking back. He said, okay, and started running up to the top, so my suspicions about him wanting to go faster were right. On my way down, I felt so upset he thought it was okay to leave me and let me walk back alone. Like anything could happen to a girl on the trail, from strange men to animal attacks, so I got the idea to prank him by hiding along the side of the trail, thinking it'd give him a little scare and possibly teach him a lesson. So, I waited, and eventually he came running down the trail right past me, completely unaware I was hiding in the bushes. After he passed, I kept walking down the trail. He had my phone in his bag, so there was no way to contact me. About an hour later, I'm close to the bottom, when I see a park ranger or search and rescue guy, I don't know what, but he was wearing a vest, coming up the trail. He stopped me and asked if I was my name, and I said yes. And he said that my boyfriend reported me missing when he got down to the lodge and he saw I wasn't there. I made up a lame excuse about how he probably missed me because I went to pee on the side of the trail, and then the guy walked me back down to the lodge. My boyfriend was so relieved at first, but on the drive home, I told him the real full story, and he blew up at me. We were supposed to go to dinner, and instead, he drove me straight home. I haven't heard from him since yesterday, even though I've been texting him. I feel like what I did was deserved, because he was the one who left me on the trail alone first. And this should be a lesson on what could happen if he does that. My best friend says it's a bit much. So am I the asshole? Edit, okay, I get it, I'm the asshole, we broke up. So real quick, I just want to point out, he didn't ask to leave you behind. You literally said in your post, we were about half of the way up the hike when I started suggesting he go on without me because I couldn't keep up with him. He didn't choose to leave you. You kept suggesting that he should go on up without you. And he did. Like, imagine going on a hike with your girlfriend. She says that she wants to turn around, offers that you complete the hike without her. So you run up there so you can at least get your hike in. Then you run back down to catch up with her. Don't see her along the way because she's hiding from you to teach you a lesson. You make it back to the lodge, see that she's not there, begin to panic that something happened, immediately report her missing. So then the search and rescue / park rangers begin looking around for you, only to find you casually walking down and you make up an excuse. He's relieved you're okay, you tell him the truth that you hid from him to teach him a lesson, and he's upset with you. Rightfully so. If you had a problem with the way that he handled the hike or just didn't like how things went down, you should have communicated that. You should have told him, hey, I'm not comfortable going on the trail on my own. Hey, I don't want to do this on my own. Hey, can we turn back now because of X, Y, and Z? There were so many ways you could have approached that situation that didn't involve scaring him to the point of filing a missing persons report and causing the lodge to pretty much begin commencing a search and rescue mission for you. Like, you act annoyed by the fact that he reported you missing because he made it back down the lodge, and as you said, by the way, like anything could happen to a girl on the trail, from strange men to animal attacks. So I got the idea to prank him by hiding along the side of the trail, thinking that'd give him a little scare and possibly teach him a lesson. Like, realistically, what did you want him to do for him to learn his lesson? Because he went for probably the most responsible thing if you had actually been attacked by an animal or something happened with a strange man. He reported it and got as many people involved to make sure that you were safe and okay, and you type it out like you're annoyed by it. How come some people struggle so much with just basic fucking communication? Good God. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for banning my child from playing video games? So I, 48 male, have a daughter, 16 female, who spends a lot of time playing video games. She's often on voice chat with other people, who she said were friends from school. I've always thought it was a bit suspicious because my daughter has complained about not really having friends at school. I interrupted her during schoolwork to ask for a favor, take out the trash, when I saw a weird message pop up on the bottom of the screen. When I asked her who it was, she seemed nervous, but just brushed it off as a friend. After she left, I decided to check her computer and saw the message was from Discord. I took a brief glance at her messages / servers and I realized these weren't people she knew. I interrogated her about it and she got defensive because I went onto her computer, but then admitted they were online friends. She said most of them were other girls her age, but some were guys and others were older. Not that it matters, people can lie. I've always had a strict rule with her online access. No online friends, no talking to people online, and preferably, no online multiplayer games. You don't know who's behind the screen and they could be dangerous. This has been a rule since she was a child. I've decided to ban her from playing games. She's allowed on her PC to do schoolwork, but during strict times and monitored. My daughter started crying when I told her and said she knew what she was doing and how to be safe. And these were her only friends and it's quarantine, so she's isolated. I told her this was for her own protection and she started screaming at me. My daughter hasn't left her room. My wife has taken my side, but I'm wondering if I'm in the right here. Am I the asshole? For those of you wondering, by the way, why quarantine is censored because this post is 5 years old, this was during a time where Am I the Asshole was actively deleting posts which include mention to the pandemic or the quarantine. Anyways, edit, I talked to my daughter about this and apparently she's been breaking this rule for longer than I thought. Apparently, she had online friends when she was 11 to 12 and playing Roblox and Minecraft. She tried to use this to show me she knew what she was doing because nothing ever happened to her back then and she was safe. I'm furious that she broke this rule even when she was little and has no respect for me. I have acknowledged that it is difficult to find stuff to do during this time. I've decided to allow her to play single-player games, but only for a limited time, and she has to ask permission and show me the game she's playing and prove that it's single-player. I did tell her she could still play online if I could join the call to listen in on conversations and read all her messages. She refuses, saying I would make things awkward and it would be embarrassing for her friends and she'd rather not play at all than have me sit in during a call. I thought this was suspicious. What is she hiding? I'm going to be looking up a tutorial for blocking Discord on our internet, but she's still able to play games during this time. Edit 2, you don't need to send me rude messages. Edit 3, my daughter found this post. I'm pretty pissed and even more betrayed that she was on Reddit because this isn't a site for children. She saw some of my comments about her and is pretty upset, particularly the one where I said she wasn't much of a looker, and isn't even talking to me now. My wife isn't even taking my side anymore now. Edit 4. Well, she did talk to me, to say a lot of hurtful things, and then proclaim that she has in fact been in 2 relationships and dumped both of them. I'm starting to realize that my methods were flawed and ineffective. So there's an additional post from this user. Am I the asshole for not buying my daughter period underwear? I, 48 male, have a 16-year-old daughter. According to her, she's had issues with disposable pads and they supposedly irritate her, and she thinks she gets an allergic reaction to them. She's heard of something called Fink's period underwear, and she came to me and asked if I would be willing to order her a pair because they're expensive. She also elected to share with me how her last period, it was so bad she had to free bleed on her last days, and that these would help with that. I'd never heard about them before, and when I asked, she said she heard about them from online and a story about a woman in a similar position to her, and that these came highly recommended. I told her no because they cost too much. I told her that if she wanted a pair, she could buy some herself. She protested and complained because she hadn't had a job since quarantine, and that these are a necessity, so therefore I should help pay for them, and volunteered to pay half. I still refuse because I didn't see the point when there are perfectly fine disposable pads at the store. She went running to her mother, and my wife is against me now and wants to order her a pair. But I said it's my credit card and they can't use it without my permission. Am I the asshole for this? Like, dude, do you even like your daughter? Like, seriously, dude, like, I'm sure most of the women in the comment section will be just willing to fucking throw this guy right to the wood chipper. But like, seriously, even as a guy, I recognize that this is revolting behavior. Now, on to the previous post. The dude's the devil for the comment about his daughter not being a looker. That's pretty fucked up. But additionally, like, we're at a point with online safety where online friends are kind of going to be inevitability. Like, you're not going to be able to escape that, and a lot of times for people who are socially outcasted, this is the one way they can still socially interact with people and feel like they have a community and sense of home. It's something that should be monitored. It's something that should definitely have some conversations attached to it about online safety, but trying to completely just shut down any attempt for them to have any kind of online connection is going to be, well, in today's day and age, destructive. I think it's fair until she's an adult to at least have a rule in place that if you're suspicious, you should be allowed to take a look at her computer and make sure that she's being safe, but being actively in the calls with her friends, that's a bit far. Have a conversation with her, talk to her about online safety, make sure she's aware of everything she should be doing to keep herself safe, and also just, she's 16. She's not 8 years old. She's 2 years away from being an adult. Like, what's crazy is that this started out as being a reasonable thing, as an overprotective dad who just wanted to make sure his daughter was safe, and this entirely just derailed into you commenting that your daughter isn't a looker, and all the other shit too. Like, I understand wanting your daughter to be safe online. I get that. I was a child who had abundance of access to the internet and definitely found myself into some pretty not okay scenarios. So I understand the fear behind that. The thing is, though, is that it's better to have a conversation about online safety and what goes with that than to just simply completely detach them from this generation's way of socializing. It's better to have conversations of safety about online activity with them, rather than taking the approach of just outright banning it and risking them walking onto the internet with no education on online safety and putting themselves in those dangerous situations. And this is all on top of the fact that this was during quarantine, where friends would be difficult to hang out and chat with, and additionally, she was already struggling in school to make meaningful connections. She has her village, she has her community. You went through her messages and you didn't see her doing anything that was outright just absolutely unacceptable. Because if you did, you would have mentioned that. I promise you, and I guarantee that hundreds of people in the comment section will be able to attest to this, by putting restrictions in place that are this controlling, all you're doing is teaching your child how to be more sneaky about getting away with breaking the rules. Actually, hell, it's literally right there in the post itself. I'm starting to realize that my methods were flawed and ineffective. My curiosity, though, is after 5 years, what's the daughter up to? Like, she would be 21 at this point. Does she still have contact with her father? Because I wouldn't be surprised if she went no contact. Hell, by the end of this whole ordeal, the mother was literally on the daughter's side because on Reddit to strangers, you were telling people that she's not much of a looker. Imagine stumbling upon your dad writing on Reddit saying that you're not a looker, you getting mad about that, and his response is, well, you shouldn't have been on Reddit in the first place. And again, not the devil for wanting your child to be safe online, definitely the devil for how you went about it, and everything else for as to how you've been treating your daughter in the meantime. Cross posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for asking my roommate to stay at her boyfriend's more often so I can have the apartment to myself? I, 22 female, live with my roommate, 23 female. We get along fine, but I really do value my alone time. Recently, she's been home a lot more, and it feels like I never get a break. She has a boyfriend who she stays with sometimes, and when she's gone, I finally feel like I can relax. I asked her if she could maybe spend more nights at his place so I can have some me time. I told her it's not personal, just that I need space and quiet to recharge. She got upset and said it's her apartment too, that she pays rent, and I have no right to banish her. I didn't say she had to, just that it would be nice if she could compromise for my mental health. Now she's being passive-aggressive and telling mutual friends I basically kicked her out. I don't see what the big deal is, I'm just asking for consideration. So we've got an extra long sadly the worst comment here. And for those of you who may not be aware, sadly the worst is a user on AmITheDevil that frequently will go and collect all the comments OP made to pretty much show how they're acting outside of the post, and sometimes it is damning. They're also a viewer, and sometimes pop up in streams, so they're pretty chill. Copied verbatim from OP's comments. You're the asshole, Super Deluxe Edition. Comment from a user. You talking about consideration is insane to the highest degree. She does pay rent. She does live there. The fact you think you can tell someone who lives there to live there less is insanity. Absolute bonkers. Should have got your own apartment if you truly valued your alone time. I'm sorry that you posted this, but you're gonna get torn up for this take, Chief. Rest in pepperoni. OP responds, I get that it sounds selfish, but I didn't demand she moves out or stop living here. I just asked if she could compromise occasionally. I'm not saying she doesn't pay rent or isn't entitled to be here, but isn't part of living with someone about working around each other's needs? If I wanted her gone all the time, yeah, I should have lived alone, but I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for a little flexibility sometimes, especially since she does enjoy staying at her boyfriend's. Another commenter. You're the asshole. If you want alone time, go find some solo activities, but you don't get to ask your roommate to leave. I hope she stays every night from now on. Wow, you are entitled. OP responds, but that's the thing, I do have solo activities. Reading, gaming, etc. But none of that feels the same when someone else is always there. I'm not saying she can't ever be home, just that it would be nice if she considered how much I contribute to keeping the place clean, paying bills on time, etc. I feel like I've earned a little bit of quiet in my own space. Honestly, it doesn't seem like that huge of an ask when she already enjoys spending time at her boyfriend's anyway. Another user comments, what would you be asking her to do if she didn't have a boyfriend? Why don't you get a boyfriend and let her have the apartment to herself sometimes? Did you not read the post? I have a boyfriend that has his own place. Wait, what? Yeah, that's not there. Did you even read the post? States information that literally wasn't in the post. I do go there sometimes, so she has the place for herself, even though she seems to like my company. Also, why would I go to my boyfriend's place when he also has roommates? It completely contradicts my desire to be alone. Another person comments, this can't be real. You signed up to have a roommate, but you don't want to have the roommate in the apartment. Not okay. If you want to live alone, then pay the extra rent and get a one-bedroom apartment you can have to yourself. But you don't get to dictate how much time your roommate uses the apartment they pay rent for. Do you not understand this? OP responds, I live in an area where rent is very expensive, and it is almost impossible to find a decent place where I can pay by myself. Why is it such an issue for her to go to her boyfriend's place for a night when she likes him so much anyway? People are making me out to be a dictator or something when I just value my personal space and have a lot going on, especially with my mental health. Another commenter, where do you find your audacity? I imagine you must buy it in bulk. I cannot in my wildest imagination think that asking my roommate, that also pays to live in our home, to leave so I can be alone is a compromise. Edit removed unnecessary word. OP responds, LOL. Imagine getting this worked up over a stranger on the internet. You sound way more mad than I'll ever be about this whole thing. Maybe if you had an actual roommate instead of spending all day writing essays on Reddit, you'd get where I'm coming from. Kinda telling on yourself, to be honest. Another person comments, you're the asshole. You chose to have a roommate. You chose to not live alone. You do not have a choice of when your roommate is there and when they are not, or for how long. You really need to mature on this, OP. Not everything in this world will be what you want. OP responds, okay, yeah, I chose to have a roommate. Congrats on stating the obvious. I never said I don't understand that. I'm just saying a little compromise is normal. Not like I'm asking her to leave forever, but apparently even asking her for a tiny bit of consideration is immature now? Kinda wild how people on here just jump straight to judging instead of just reading. Another person comments, I said this was extra long, I meant it. What's the compromise? In a compromise, you both give and meet in the middle to meet at least some of both of your needs. If she spends less time in her home, you will do what for her? In what way does the compromise you are proposing benefit her as well as you? Like I said, it's not like I'm asking her to be gone all the time, just a few nights here and there. She already spends a lot of time at her boyfriend's anyway, so it's not exactly me asking for a huge sacrifice. I don't know why everyone wants to turn, can you do this sometimes, into some deep moral debate. I'm not keeping her from anything. She's still free to do whatever she wants, just not always in my face. Oops, bit of a slip up there. Another person comments, everyone on the planet has had a roommate. We're all in Am I the Asshole because we want to validate good folks or tear assholes to bits. You're an absolute asshole, and your unwavering candor towards being an asshole speaks volumes about how little you understand of human interaction. Were you born yesterday? On a stoop? In the rain? Octopus emoji. OP responds, I'm just here asking for a tiny bit of alone time, and suddenly I'm some moral catastrophe. Maybe if people actually read instead of trying to sound like philosophers on Reddit, they'd see I'm not harming anyone. But sure, keep typing like you're auditioning for a tragedy play. It's cute. Another commenter, oh hell no, you're the asshole. Maybe she'd like you to get the fuck out sometimes too. OP, completely missing the forest of the trees as the point goes right over her head. Yeah, the most extroverted and sociable person I know that just happens to be my roommate wants more alone time. That makes sense. Final commenter. My roommate hates that I'm always at my boyfriend's place. I only started to go so often because she needs constant entertainment. If not me, then some annoying guy sitting there listening to her talk for hours. She constantly says stuff about me being gone, but girl, you got too many social needs for me. I love when she's at work and I get the house to myself, but as soon as she's back, I immediately feel drained and sit in my room as long as possible to avoid her. As soon as I leave to use the bathroom, she's instantly trying to talk to me about irrelevant shit. Like, leave me alone. Damn. All that to say, you're the asshole. I really value my alone time, and silence too, and I never met someone who has to fill every room with sound constantly. It's draining. But you need to close your room door or something. Or find you a man to escape to. Y'all both pay the bills. OP, responding with the reading comprehension of your average household fly. Oh wow, thanks. Maybe next time think about how exhausting it is to live with someone who literally can't just enjoy silence for 5 minutes. It's not like I'm trying to ruin her life, I just want a second to breathe without constant noise. But sure, clearly anyone who values peace and quiet must be the asshole here. Love how Reddit always makes it about me being a villain instead of maybe, just maybe, recognize how draining some people are. I love how people literally spelled out the fact of like, yeah, like you're fine to want peace and quiet, but asking your roommate to leave is unreasonable and there is no compromise being offered here, like at all. And OP's serial response they seem to use every time is just simply, maybe you should reread my post and stop judging me for what I wrote. Like, girly, no matter how many times people are going to read this, they're going to come to the same opinion and comment the same thing. Hell, you're not even reading the comments you're responding to. You're just taking them at face value, not actually having any kind of introspection or looking yourself in the mirror and just being like, well, actually, it's very clear you didn't read my post because you disagree with me and you're judging me, so, maybe get a life? No, it can't possibly be hundreds of comments saying that my compromise is irrational and entirely selfish and entitled. No, they're all wrong. They're just not reading my post. That has to be what it is. Maybe if they actually read it for a third or fourth time, they might see that I'm right. That's the vibe I get here. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.